Hello and welcome to the English Podcast Lab. I'm Mike, and today we're taking a deep dive into something I think is on everyone's mind a lot. Our plans and goals for the future. And as always, I'm joined by our expert, Sarah.
Hi.
Sarah, we all have these dreams, right? These visions of where we want to be down the road, but actually making those concrete plans. Sometimes it could just feel kind of overwhelming.
Oh, absolutely. It can be like walking through a thick fog.
Yeah.
You just don't know where to go next.
Exactly. And that's where I think having a framework for actually like setting goals and then achieving them is so important for both our personal and professional lives.
Yeah, you're right. It's not just about dreaming big. You have to actually make those dreams happen.
So let's break this down.
Okay.
When we say future plans and goals, what are some common areas of life that people are usually thinking about?
Well, Mike, some of the big ones are, things like your career aspirations, what you want to do for work, and financial goals, continuing your education, or learning new skills, family plans, health and well-being, personal growth, and of course, leisure activities. You got to find that work-life balance.
Yeah, for sure. And even though these areas seem kind of separate, right? They all kind of like connect and influence each other.
Right.
Like take financial stability, for example.
Yeah.
Such a common goal these days, and it really has an impact on pretty much every other part of our lives.
Yeah, it's all connected. And that's exactly why having these specific, well-defined goals in every single area is so important. It's like having a roadmap that guides you towards your ideal destination.
Right.
So you can't just say, I want to be financially stable.
Yeah.
Well, what does that even mean? How are you going to measure your progress? And by when do you want to achieve this? That's where the SMART goals framework can be really helpful.
SMART goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of our listeners might already be familiar with that framework, but just as a quick reminder.
Yeah.
What does SMART stand for again?
So it stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound goals.
So instead of just saying, I want to learn Spanish, a SMART goal would be something like, I want to become fluent in Spanish by December 2025.
Exactly. That's it.
Okay.
By making your goals, really specific and actionable, you're setting yourself up for success. And Mike, when you're setting these goals, don't forget to think about both short-term and long-term objectives.
For sure. It's all about finding that balance. So
Yeah.
you're not just thinking about the big picture or getting stuck in the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you were learning a musical instrument, your short-term goal could be to practice every day for 30 minutes, but your long-term goal might be to play a whole song by the end of the year.
Yeah. And both types of goals, those short-term wins and the long-term aspirations, kind of feed off each other and help keep you motivated and engaged. But Sarah, sometimes it feels like there's this pressure to always be achieving, always focus on the next milestone.
I know what you mean, Mike. What's interesting is that this constant focus on, those transactional goals, it can actually sometimes prevent long-term growth. So for example, let's say there's a software company that's only focused on immediate sales. They might forget to invest in upcoming trends like artificial intelligence.
Right.
And in the end, that could actually limit their potential.
It's like that saying, being so busy chopping wood that you forget to sharpen the axe.
Exactly. You got to take a step back sometimes and think big picture. Having those big, ambitious plans is great, but it's only the first step. You got to work towards them and hold yourself accountable for the progress you make.
And that accountability, does that have to be just you by yourself, or can other people be involved in that process?
That's a great question, Mike. Having a support network is essential. Whether it's your friends, family mentors, or colleagues, their encouragement and guidance can really make a difference in helping you reach those goals. And speaking of guidance, having a mentor, someone who's already been down a similar path, it can be really valuable. It doesn't have to be some formal mentorship either.
Yeah.
Just learning from their experiences, both good and bad, can be incredibly helpful.
I love that idea. It's like having a map with notes on it from someone who's already been there and done that.
Yeah.
But what about our past experiences, especially those setbacks and challenges? Where do those fit into planning for the future? Should we just try to forget about them, or is there something to learn from those less than ideal moments?
Yeah, it's tempting to just want to bury those negative experiences, isn't it? But Mike, they can be really valuable learning opportunities. It's not about dwelling on the negative, but more about understanding what went wrong and using those lessons to make better decisions in the future. It's like turning those setbacks into stepping stones.
For sure. Like, let's say a business venture didn't quite work out as planned, instead of seeing it as a complete failure. Maybe it's a chance to figure out what went wrong. Adjust your approach and come back even stronger.
Exactly. And that actually leads us to another crucial point in planning. You got to be flexible and you got to be able to adapt.
Because life hardly ever goes according to plan.
You got it. Sometimes those unexpected opportunities come up or our priorities change. Being able to adapt to those changes is key. It's like if someone's been working their way up the corporate ladder and then suddenly they discover they're passionate about freelance work, they decide to go in a totally different direction.
That happens all the time, and it just shows how important it is to be aware of yourself, your passions, and be open to new possibilities. But Sarah, with all these plans and goals going around in our heads, how do we actually manage our time and energy to make it all happen?
That's a question I get a lot, Mike. Managing your time and prioritizing what's important is key, especially when you're trying to live a fulfilling life and have a successful career. There are some great techniques out there like the Eisenhower Matrix, which helps you categorize tasks based on how urgent and important they are.
Yeah.
It helps you focus on what really needs your attention and avoid getting sidetracked by less important things.
Yeah, I've heard of that one. And there's also time boxing, right?
Yes.
Where you dedicate specific blocks of time for different activities.
Exactly, you got it. It's about using your time and energy in a really deliberate way. And remember, Mike, reaching your goals, it's not a solo mission. You need support. You really do need people in your corner, Mike. Having that supportive network of friends, family mentors, colleagues, people who can offer encouragement and guidance, it's really important for success. It's kind of like having a team of cheerleaders and coaches.
Right.
You know, people who believe in you and help you stay on track when things get tough.
Yeah, speaking of coaches, I've been hearing more and more people talk about the benefits of working with a professional career coach. Sarah, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it can be a really powerful tool, Mike, especially for people who are feeling kind of lost or just overwhelmed in their careers. A good coach can help you figure out what you want to achieve. Identify your strengths and weaknesses and come up with a plan to reach those goals.
So it's like having a personal trainer
Exactly.
for your professional life.
Exactly. And it's not just for people who are just starting out in their careers, right?
No, not at all.
Even people who've been working for a while
Yeah.
could benefit from a coach's perspective.
Oh, absolutely. Especially if they're going through a transition or, wanting to make a big change. A coach can give you that objective feedback. Challenge your assumptions. Make sure you're actually taking action. And Mike, sometimes we all need a little push and some support to reach our full potential. And it's not just about having mentors or coaches either. It's also about developing the right mindset. Oh, for sure. It's about believing in yourself, having that confidence to go after those big goals and not being afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
Yes, exactly. And it's also about enjoying the journey. You're going to face setbacks and challenges along the way, but those are just opportunities to learn and grow.
Right.
It's about developing that resilience to bounce back from those tough times and come back even stronger.
It's like that saying, you fall down 7 times, you get up 8.
Exact.
It's about that persistence and that determination to keep going even when things get tough.
Yeah.
But Sarah, with all this talk about pushing ourselves and striving for more, it can feel kind of overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
How do we balance pushing for progress without burning ourselves out?
That's a really great question, Mike, and it's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, especially nowadays. I think the key is to remember that this is a marathon, not a sprint. You have to pace yourself, set realistic expectations, and make sure you're taking care of yourself. Find those activities that help you recharge, whether it's spending time in nature, pursuing a hobby, or just disconnecting from the digital world for a bit.
It's so easy to get caught up in the hustle and bustle and forget to take care of ourselves. But Sarah, sometimes it feels almost selfish to take that time for ourselves.
Yeah.
When we have so many other responsibilities.
I get it, Mike. I really do. But here's the thing. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
If you're constantly running on fumes, you're not going to be able to show up for yourself, your work, or the people you care about. Self-care isn't selfish. It's essential. It's about refilling your energy so you can be the best version of yourself. And speaking of being your best self, it's important to remember that personal growth is a continuous journey.
Right. There's always something new, to learn new skills, to develop new ways to challenge ourselves.
Exactly, Mike, and that's what makes life exciting. Embracing that lifelong learning mindset is so important for staying engaged, adaptable, and fulfilled in this ever-changing world.
And it's not just about formal education either, right?
Right.
It's about being curious, exploring new things, and constantly seeking out knowledge and experiences that make our lives richer. Whether it's learning a new language, taking a cooking class, starting a garden, or even just reading a book outside your usual genre.
Yes, you got it. It's about feeding your mind and soul with those enriching experiences. And Mike, one of the most rewarding things about personal growth is discovering new passions and sharing them with others. It's like this ripple effect that spreads positivity and inspiration.
Absolutely. When you're excited about something, it shows, and it can inspire those around you to explore their own passions and live more fully. It's like that quote, "A candle loses nothing by lighting another candle."
That's beautiful, Mike. And it's a great reminder that we can all have a positive impact on the world just by sharing our passions and supporting others in their own journeys. And, that brings us back to what we're talking about today, future plans and goals.
Yeah, it's amazing how we try to plan everything out for the future. But it's often those unexpected detours that lead us to the most rewarding experiences. It's like setting sail with a compass, but letting the wind take us to some uncharted territory.
It really is. It's like, you set your destination on your GPS, but you're open to taking those scenic routes and maybe making a few unexpected stops along the way. That's where the real adventure lies.
I like that a lot. But how do we balance that openness to new things with the discipline and focus it takes to actually achieve those goals we set for ourselves?
That's where being mindful comes in.
Yeah.
You have to regularly check in with yourself, see where you're at, reassess your priorities, and just make sure that what you're doing is still in line with what you want to achieve. It's like recalibrating your compass to make sure you're still heading in the right direction.
So it's not about sticking to the plan no matter what, but about staying true to what we really want and adjusting our course along the way.
Yeah, exactly. Think of it as a dance between having a plan and being flexible. You need the plan to give you some direction, but you also need that flexibility to adapt to all the changes that life throws your way.
That's a great way to put it. So for our listeners out there, especially those who might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed by all their future aspirations, what's one practical piece of advice we can give them?
I would say start by breaking down those big goals into smaller, more manageable steps. Imagine you're climbing a mountain. You wouldn't try to reach the summit in one go. You'd focus on each section of the trail one step at a time.
Right. And I'm guessing celebrating those small victories along the way is important too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Every milestone you reach, no matter how small it is, shows your commitment and that you're making progress. It's like planting a flag at each base camp as you make your way to the top.
I love that analogy. So as we wrap up our deep dive into future plans and goals, what's one key takeaway you hope our listeners will remember?
I think the most important thing to remember is that creating a fulfilling future is an ongoing journey. It's about embracing the ups and downs, navigating those unexpected turns, and celebrating every step you take forward.
That's a great way to sum it up. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration. Remember, you have the power to shape your own future. Embrace the adventure, trust your instincts, and never stop chasing those dreams that light you up. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more insightful content. Until next time.
Until next time.